everybody. Today I'm going to read to you one of my favorite stories from when I was little. I found this book when I went through a box of mine and my sister's that I had up in my attic. And this story is called Bagdad Ate It. And when I saw the book, I immediately remembered the whole story and just remembered really enjoying it as a kid. And I hope you do too. This was written by Phyllis Green and illustrated by Joel Schick. Mr. Lakely was buying 2 jars of orange marmalade in the grocery store. He saw a sign. The grocer's door had given birth to 3 puppies. They were for sale. Mr. Lakely bought one and took it home. Jeremy Lakely looked at the puppy. It was chewing the grocery bag. He looked at his father. Bagdad, he said. The puppy had a name. Different kind of name, but he had a name. Bagdad, the puppy, grew. He liked to eat. He grew and grew and grew. And when he stopped growing up, he grew out, wider and wider, fatter and fatter. He's got to run more, Mrs. Lakely said, but Bagdad liked to eat and sleep. He should be frisky and play ball, Mr. Lakely said, but Bagdad would only roll over and play dead. Then he would get up and eat. The vet said, this dog must go on a diet. So Bagdad got a small amount of dog food, and that was all. He started sniffing in cupboards. He tried to eat a table leg. He tried to eat Mrs. Lakely's stockings. He even tried to eat the middle C on the piano. One day, he ate lettuce growing in the garden, birdseed under the feeder, and a worm. But he was getting thinner, more in shape, Mrs. Lakely said. On Saturday, Mr. Lakely decided to bake some bread. He said he missed the bread his grandmother used to make. He found her old recipe. I'll make 3 loaves, Mr. Lakely said. I can hardly wait to taste a warm slice with butter melting on it. He rolled his eyes in anticipation. See Bagdad over here, he's like eating it as it flour falls out of the bag. Mr. Lakely stirred the milk, sugar, and shortening. He crumbled the yeast into a bowl of warm water. The yeast grows, Mr. Lakely told Jeremy. It makes the bread dough rise. Mr. Lakely added the flour to the yeast. Jeremy had a coin in his hand. He tossed it into the air. It fell to the floor and disappeared. Jeremy looked under the table. His eyes met Bagdad's eyes. No coin, Jeremy said. Bagdad ate it. Mr. Lakely kneaded the dough. He put it in 3 greased bowls. The dough will soon fill the bowls, he said. Mrs. Lakely came into the kitchen. There was a yellow flower on my cactus yesterday. Did one of you pick it? Bagdad ate it, Jeremy said. Mr. Lakely turned the oven to warm. Then he turned it to off. He set the 3 bowls of dough in front of the oven door. Now we wait, he said. It will take a while for the dough to rise. Mrs. Lakely went to play the piano. Mr. Lakely went outside to weed dandelions. Jeremy went to look at his map collection. Bagdad played dead under the kitchen table. Mr. Lakely came into the kitchen to check on the dough. The bowls were empty. What happened to my dough? He yelled. Mrs. Lakely and Jeremy came running. Oh no, Mr. Lakely said. Bagdad ate it, Jeremy said. What do you think's going to happen? The dough has to rise. They all stared at Bagdad. Right before their eyes, his stomach was growing. He's swelling like a balloon. Will he explode? Bagdad stood up. He waddled slowly over to Jeremy. Poor Bagdad, Jeremy said. We'd better call the vet, Mr. Lakely said. Oh, look at him, all roly-poly. He ate my bread dough, Mr. Lakely told the vet. 3 bowls of it. I think he'll be all right, said the vet. The swelling should go down soon. Call me if he isn't better by 6 o'clock. Bagdad burped. They carried Bagdad to the rug in front of the fireplace. He slowly returned to his normal size. He'll probably never want to eat again, said Mrs. Lakely. I so wanted a piece of warm bread with butter melting on it, said Mr. Lakely. Oh, well, you better take him for his walk, Jeremy. Jeremy put the leash on Bagdad's collar. They went outside. In front of the house was a fat pink worm. It's like really hard to see in the picture, but down here. Guess what? Bagdad ate it. So I don't think he learned his lesson. Well, I hope you liked the story, and I look forward to seeing you soon.